So welcome, Mark Burford.
Yes.
You are a member of the Berks County Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? How long have you been playing music?
I started playing when I was 5.
Wow.
I'm a fourth generation musician out of the family. It's just something that's in our blood in the family because my uncles were all musicians. They played during the bebop, hard bop era.
Mm-hmm.
My aunt sang opera. She sang at the Mets.
Oh, wow.
All my uncles, they played upright bass. Sang. My grandmother sang in some of the biggest churches around.
Mm-hmm.
And it just rubbed off on me. So it would be like a Sunday afternoon. All the uncles would come over and they'd start playing. One uncle was a ragtime piano player. So I'd hear all of it, and I'd sit on the steps and just listen, Next thing I know, my mom shipping me off to music lessons. So I used to go to Shirley Brothers, if you remember that, at 4th and Penn. I studied there for about maybe 10 years, and I went to Jesuits for 2 years, and then I wound up at Wyoming Institute of Fine Arts for about 2 years studying theory. And then I got bit by the jazz bug, and I ran into a lot of good musicians like Jimmy Smith. Ran into him. He's the one that got people started playing on the Hammond organ.
Mm-hmm.
Al Gray, he was a world-renowned trombonist. As a matter of fact, his brother just passed. They lived here in Reading. He was from Pottstown. Had long conversations with Buddy Guy. And I'll show you this here. This is Robert Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And I had B.B. King sign the back of it.
Fantastic.
And to show the authenticity of it, that's the picture of me, him signing it.
Wow, look at that.
So this is Robert Johnson, and he's considered the king of Delta blues, grandfather of rock and roll, and one of the greatest blues guys that ever lived. And he was born in 1911. So, and actually there's his signature. So
that is fantastic.
So this sure to be worth a couple of bucks in a few years.
Sure.
If it ain't worth anybody now,
What instruments do you play?
I studied classical piano in my younger days, but I wound up mostly on the Hammond organ. I played the flute a little bit, but I just got into playing the Hammond organ.
Mm-hmm.
And I played with Frank Scott. I sat in with a group called Jay and the Techniques back in the day. And they asked me to go to London with them. My mom said, "You ain't going anywhere, boy." Because I was 16 at the time. That's when everything was starting to happen, And she said, no. So, wound up working on the railroad as an electrical inspector. I just played a long time with a lot of groups. And then I just wound up saying, I had enough of this, and so I need a real job and some benefits, because music's great, but you need the benefits. You got to put food on the table, and, all of a sudden, a girl bit me, and that was it, And I wound up got married and had a family, I had to do the right thing, I wound up volunteer for the Berks Arts Council as their head of technical support for 27 years. And that entailed producing all the electrical power that the audio and lighting needed. So I got to learn a lot about lighting, a lot about audio over those 27 years.
Fantastic.
So I met many, many a musician. It was a great trip, and I just turned that power over to 2 other gentlemen because it was wearing me down. 27 years. It's a long time.
That is a long time.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've contributed a lot to Berks County's music scene.
Oh, I stay behind the scenes. I keep myself known as anonymous efficiency. I got heavily into the Masonic order, and that's what's really taken me around the place and different parts of the country. So, I'm in a lot of different parts of the Masonic order. It's not just what they say, the Freemasons. It's other factions that are involved. I finally reached the highest pinnacle of 33rd degree Mason. So that's quite an achievement. I worked for MedEd for 27 years.
Oh, wow.
As electrical construction and maintenance, and also an instructor for substations. So I taught a lot of apprentices about powering substations and repairs and maintenance and things like that. So got married, had some kids, but still involves around a lot of music. So, but I just am amazed at all the musicians that are Masons. Like some of my favorites were like Mozart, Bach, Beethoven, Haydn, Sibelius, Liszt, Mendelssohn, and Masons that are musicians. And well, a lot of them are dead now, but they're in the last 100 years. Was like Louis Armstrong, Nat King Cole, Fats Waller, Duke Ellington, John Philip Sousa, Al Gray, Lionel Hampton. I had a long talk with him. Count Basie, Irving Berlin. That's just to mention a few. And
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, that's because music is one of the factors, which is we consider one of the 7 liberal arts.
Okay.
So, and we teaches that music teaches the art of forming concord so as to compose delightful harmonies by mathematical and proportional arrangements of acute, grave, and mixed sounds. This art, by a series of experiments, is reduced to a demonstrative science with respect to tones and intervals of sound.
Wow.
That's what music is. Now, if they can comprehend that, they're on the move.
Do you have any influences, any musicians or groups or particular genres that you feel really influenced your work as a musician?
My uncles, because let's see. Well, Jimmy Smith was one. Don Patterson, Virgil Fox. There's so many of them. Like all the classical guys.
Sure.
Because that's what I started out. Liszt and Schubert. That's what my teacher stressed to me all the time. He said, "I'll give you a little Beethoven now and then." But she liked Schubert and Mendelssohn, so that's what I had to study. So they were influences to me. And then when I found out they were Masons, then I just went ballistic. And oh my gosh, these guys are really something else. So they wrote a lot of the music we hear today.
So you're really part of this longer tradition of Masons and music, and
yes,
yeah, that's really.
Yes, because that was just to touch on just a little bit of the musicians of that time period. And the one thing we all have in common, we all went through the same initiation. So if they would come back today, I could sit here and have the same conversation.
Sure.
And like Pythagoras was a Mason. That goes back a long time. Socrates was a Mason.
Yeah.
All these, men of brilliance. So it just inspired me more and more to get more into the music. So that's how that came about. But like I said, it was mostly behind my uncles coming over on Sunday with dinner cooking, a glass of that yellow amber bread, and my uncles just playing and musicians coming into the house. And they had the whole street rocking, So that really just had me going. I said, I got to get in the band. And my mom and dad went out and bought me an organ. And I finally said, well, I think I'm going to have to take this thing out of the house, Mom. He said, don't you scratch that thing up. And I had tons of scratches on there after I was done with it. But I love playing the Hammond organ.
Wow, what a rich, fantastic history you have.
Oh, my uncles would come over. My uncle could play the trumpet like you would not believe. And my aunt could sing. I thought the glass was going to break. She hit those high notes, and the other uncle was playing the upright bass. The other one's playing the piano. And I'm just sitting there just listening. I said, how do these guys do this stuff, So it takes a lot of practice, son. A lot of practice. Patience. I said, okay, all right. So they instilled that into me, so I got the patience, and I follow through. I'm trying to teach my children, but they're more into the technology, you know. Mm-hmm. They can sit there and spin something, makes all kind of racket, you know. I said, the thing is, get here and play, and get your hands on the keyboards, you know. So they tried it for a little bit, and they just gave it up. So I don't know what the kids are going to do with playing real music today, because you can sample everything today, you know. Mm-hmm. So, but there's still some good kids out there that can play. Mm-hmm. You know, I admire them, and I'll stand behind them 100%.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing your history with us. We really appreciate all that you've contributed to Berks County's music scene, and we're just thankful that we could, you know, share that history with the community here.
Yes, because there's a lot of good musicians in this community, and you just got to find, like Mike Anderson. I know Mike since almost day one. Mm-hmm. Fred, I know him. You know a lot of guys who got up there on the wall there. So hopefully I'll see him in August.
Yep.
So I guess it's been great.
Yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity to come out here and really give me a chance to tell what's going on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So, okay.
All right.
Great.